is say, I won't fulfill our NATO treaty obligations, and NATO begins to unravel. So it is an incredibly dangerous thing to think about a foreign policy, a national security policy led by somebody who is as unstable as Donald Trump is, and it's a risk we just simply can't take as a nation.
And I'm going to add for emphasis that let's also be clear about, on this subject specifically of Ukraine, Donald Trump's approach would be to surrender. Understand what that would mean. That is signaling to the president of Russia he can get away with what he has done. Understand, look at the map. Poland would be next. NATO, our allies, are the reason that they have been so thankful for the position of strength we have taken in bringing the allies together, is because they are fully aware of, and remember, to the Congresswoman's point, World War II, remember, this concept of isolation, we were once there as a nation, and then Pearl Harbor happened. Let's remember, recent history, Europe remembers it well. Then when we got attacked, Pearl Harbor, we jumped in. And it is because America jumped in that we were ultimately able to win that war. And it should be a constant reminder to us, we have to remember history, that isolationism, which is exactly what Donald Trump is pushing, pull out of NATO, abandon our friends, isolationism is not insulation. It is not insulation. It will not insulate us from harm in terms of our national security. So I say that to emphasize a point that the Congresswoman made, and the other point I'd make is also check out where he's been on how he thinks about America's military and service members. One of the great, great American heroes, a prisoner of war, John McCain. Remember how he talked about John McCain? He said he didn't like him because he got caught. You look, he's called members of our military suckers and losers. And then look at how some of the highest ranking members of our military, including what I mentioned earlier, the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, a dedicated member, leader in America's military, how he has assessed Donald Trump, fascism to his core. So
there are your talking points for the kitchen table. Our final question is from Courtney. Courtney, can you stand? Courtney Cabrera Agruza is a wife, a mom, an attorney, and she's a proud Chaldean, and she is here with a question. Courtney.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Madam Vice President Harris and Representative Cheney. My name is Courtney Cabrera Agruza, and I am a first-generation Chaldean American. Chaldeans are indigenous Iraqis who are Catholic, and we are predominantly in the Metro Detroit area. Chaldeans are a very close-knit community, but the recent political climate has really begun to divide us. While I know that you have discussed several bipartisan proposals over the course of your campaign, what would you say to people like myself who are part of these traditionally conservative communities who want to move forward but are feeling the pressures of the political divide?
Thank you. And I've actually met with members and leaders in the Chaldean community, and thank you for being here. You know, I think that there is something at stake that is about core values as well as what is at stake in terms of the risk and the danger. And I would offer you an example of what I think would be an important issue that would affect the Chaldean community and all Americans. For example, the issue of how we think about healthcare in America. So I know enough about the culture and to know that it is reflective of who we are as Americans in general. We respect our elders. We take care of them. So I will share with you a specific proposal that is an extension of how I think about things. Personal story, I took care of my mother when she was sick. And for anyone taking care of or who has taken care of an elder relative, you know what that is. It's about trying to cook something they feel like eating. It is trying to find clothes that don't irritate their skin or help them put on a sweater. It's about trying to figure out something you can say that will bring a smile to their face or make them laugh. It's about dignity. And we now have, in particular in our country, a lot of people doing that and also raising young kids. We call them the sandwich generation, right in the middle. It's a lot. And the way the system currently works, well, God willing, you may have enough resources, you can hire somebody to come in and help. If not, you may have to spend down all of your savings to be able to qualify for Medicaid. Or you may have to quit your job to be able to do what you need to do to take care of your children and take care of your older relative. That's just not right, and it's not fair. So part of my proposal and the plan is that we're going to now reconfigure so that Medicare covers home health care for our seniors, right? It's about dignity. So in addition to everything that we've discussed already about national security, what is at stake? Something like this, because I absolutely do believe America is ready for a new generation of leadership that is taking on issues clear-eyed about what is going on that affects everybody, doesn't matter their political party, issues that are fundamentally about dignity, also about economic issues, and taking it on in a way that we relieve the American people of the burdens that get in the way of productivity and a certain quality of life. And this is one example of that. I believe we need to have an economy that I call an opportunity economy, where everyone has the opportunity to thrive, not just get by, but get ahead. And this is one example I would offer under the broader point, which is about let's move forward, taking on problems from a common sense approach that is about just practical work. Look, I am a capitalist. I am a pragmatic capitalist. I will work as I have with the private sector. I believe we have to invest in America's economy and America's industry and America's entrepreneurs. And we can at the same time take care of those that are the most in need of just a little support to be able to not just get by, but get ahead.
Thank you, Courtney. Liz, I just want to, we have 2 minutes left. And when you hear the phrase, a new way forward, when you hear country over party, what does that mean to you? We're 2 weeks out. What does a new way forward mean for families like everybody here, for your children, my children, everybody's children, young men?
Yeah.
What is it like?
I think that, we're at a moment now where when you think about America and the beacon of hope that we have been for so many years, for so many communities, also how tremendously enriched we have been by communities, immigrants who want to come here and build a life, all of that depends upon fundamentally defending the rule of law, fundamentally defending our Constitution. That's what makes all of our opportunity and our freedom possible. And at the same time that we're that beacon for the world, it's also because we're a good nation.
Yeah.
And because, when you look at who our leader is going to be, what Donald Trump represents is in many ways just cruel, and not the kind of dignity and the kind of person that we all want to be able to look up to. But what I would say is that if people are uncertain, if people are thinking, well, I'm a conservative, I don't know that I can support Vice President Harris, I would say, I don't know if anybody's more conservative than I am. and I understand the most conservative value there is to defend the Constitution. Mm-hmm. And if we don't come together to do that, then, and so just to finish that, I would say, to me, a new way forward is this. It's what you're seeing up here. It's having a president who will listen, having a president who will say, I'm not, necessarily sure I agree with you on this issue or that issue, but let's talk about it. Why do you want, that policy? Why do you believe that? Someone who is willing to honor and respect all perspectives and points of views. And there's only one candidate in this race who does that, and that's Vice President Harris.
In fact, a lot of polling of undecided voters who call themselves the exhausted majority said, I just want leaders who listen to one another. I just want leaders who speak respectfully to one another. I want to see decency. I want to see people I can look up to. And unfortunately, that's considered a new way forward as Representative Cheney.
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's make that a way forward. The final word, Madam Vice President, everybody I talk to says, I have to turn off the news. I can't read anything. I'm meditating. I'm doing yoga. I'm so anxious. I just don't even know. I'm eating gummies, all kinds of things, What are you doing? What are you doing?
Not eating gummies.
Okay, we got that clear. But how do you, how do you handle this, the anxiety, the stress, the turmoil? Everybody's freaked out. I talked to the gentleman up there. He's like, I'm so scared. A woman's like, I'm so anxious. I can't sleep. Do you sleep?
I wake up in the middle of the night usually these days, so to be honest with you, but I work out every morning. I think that's really important to just kind of, mind, body, and spirit. But let me just say this.
No, say more about that.
But I will. I work out. I try to eat well. I love my family, and I make sure that I talk to the kids and my husband every day. Doug and I have been kind of, traveling. We're trying to cover a lot of ground, so we're not with each other every day these days, but my family grounds me in every way. But if I can just speak to what people are feeling. We cannot despair. We cannot despair. The nature of a democracy is such that I think there's a duality. On the one hand, there's an incredible strength when our democracy is intact. An incredible strength in what it does to protect the freedoms and rights of its people. Oh, there's great strength in that. And it is very fragile. It is only as strong as our willingness to fight for it. And so that's the moment we're in. And I say do not despair, because in a democracy, as long as we can keep it, in our democracy, the people, every individual has the power to make a decision about what this will be. And so let's not feel powerless. Let's not let and I get it, overwhelming nature of this all make us feel powerless, because then we have been defeated. And that's not our character as the American people. We are not one to be defeated. We rise to a moment, and we stand on broad shoulders of people who have fought this fight before for our country. And in many